In a galaxy plagued by conflict, where the line between law and chaos blurs across star systems, a special breed of warrior emerges from the shadows. Bounty hunters, the galaxy's most feared trackers, vigilantes, and mercenaries. From the Clone Wars through the fall of the Empire, these relentless pursuers have shaped the course of galactic history, often proving more dangerous than the armies they worked alongside. Each hunter brings their own deadly signature to the craft, the methodical precision of a Mandalorian warrior, backed by generations of combat tradition, the cold calculation of assassin droids, whose programming knows neither mercy nor fatigue, the raw cunning of outlaws who've survived battlefields that would break lesser beings. Some hunt for credits, others for glory, and a rare few for causes greater than themselves. Their influence reaches every corner of the galaxy. When Darth Vader needed the Millennium Falcon found, he turned not to the Imperial fleet, but to bounty hunters. When crime lords like Jabba the Hutt sought to enforce their will, they dispatched these elite trackers. Even the Jedi, for all their power, learned to fear the distinctive sound of a jetpack's ignition or the sight of a wide-brimmed hat silhouetted against twin suns. From the legendary Boba Fett to the ruthless Cad Bane, from the honor-bound warriors of Mandalore to the mechanical precision of IG-88, these are the stories of the galaxy's most notorious hunters. Their methods differ, their motivations vary, but they share one common truth. In a galaxy where everyone has a price, these are the ones who collect. The legend of Boba Fett begins not with a hunt, but with a promise. Standing over his father's helmeted head on the battle-scarred arena of Geonosis, a young boy swore vengeance. That boy would grow into the most feared bounty hunter the galaxy had ever known, commanding respect from crime lords and striking terror into the hearts of his prey across thousands of systems. Born as an unaltered clone of the legendary Jango Fett, Boba learned the art of hunting at his father's knee. While millions of his genetic brothers were engineered for rapid growth and absolute loyalty to the Republic, Boba was raised as a true son, inheriting not just Jango's DNA, but his skills, his armor, and ultimately his legacy. These early lessons in survival would prove crucial after Jango's death at the hands of Jedi Master Mace Windu, leaving young Boba to navigate the galaxy's criminal underworld alone. His rise through the ranks of bounty hunters was meteoric. Where others relied on brute force or sheer numbers, Boba Fett brought an unprecedented level of tactical precision to his hunts. His modified Mandalorian armor became a symbol of inevitable capture, its distinctive green paint and red visor striking fear across the outer rim. Every piece of his equipment served a purpose, from the rangefinder that tracked multiple targets to the wrist-mounted flamethrower that could turn an escape route into an inferno. The galaxy's most powerful players soon learned that if you wanted someone found, Fett was worth his considerable price. His list of successful captures reads like a who's who of notorious fugitives. Crime lords, rebel leaders, and Imperial defectors all found themselves facing the business end of his EE-3 carbine rifle. But it was his pursuit of Han Solo that would cement his reputation. Where other hunters failed to capture the elusive smuggler, Fett succeeded by outthinking his prey, anticipating Solo's escape route to Cloud City and arriving ahead of him. His methods were as efficient as they were ruthless. Unlike bounty hunters who reveled in chaos, Fett operated with surgical precision. He studied his targets, learned their patterns, and struck at the perfect moment. His ship, the Slave One, inherited from his father, became known as one of the most formidable pursuit craft in the galaxy, its distinctive sound enough to send targets scrambling for cover. Even a fall into the Sarlacc pit, a fate considered unsurvivable, proved insufficient to end Boba Fett's story. He emerged from the creature's depth through sheer force of will and survival instinct, though forever changed by the experience. The encounter left him with scars, both physical and psychological, but also with a deeper understanding of power and leadership. In perhaps his most ambitious evolution, Fett claimed the criminal empire of Jabba the Hutt, transforming himself from lone hunter to daimyo of Tatooine. Where Jabba ruled through fear and excess, Fett brought the precision and discipline of a bounty hunter to his governance. His partnership with fellow hunter Fennec Shand demonstrated that even the galaxy's most notorious loner understood the value of trusted allies. Throughout his storied career, what set Fett apart wasn't just his skills or his equipment, but his understanding of the hunt as an art form. He knew when to pursue and when to wait, when to strike and when to negotiate. His reputation became such that merely invoking his name could make targets surrender rather than face him. In a profession filled with braggarts and glory seekers, Fett's quiet competence and guaranteed results made him the standard against which all other hunters were measured. The story of Boba Fett is more than just a tale of another successful bounty hunter. It's a testament to survival, adaptation, and the power of legacy. From the clone who was meant to be a son rather than a soldier, to the hunter who became a legend, to the leader who transformed a criminal empire, Fett's journey embodies the complexity and opportunity found in a galaxy of endless possibilities. In a profession dominated by Mandalorians and assassin droids, Cad Bane earned his reputation the hard way by being the only bounty hunter who dared to make Jedi Knights his prey. The blue-skinned Duros brought a level of calculated ruthlessness to his work that made even hardened crime lords uncomfortable, taking on contracts others dismissed as suicide missions and succeeding through a combination of meticulous planning and overwhelming firepower. During the Clone Wars, when most hunters avoided crossing paths with Jedi, Bane actively sought them out. His most audacious operation saw him breach the legendary Jedi Temple itself, a fortress considered impenetrable for millennia. Armed with technical expertise and inside knowledge, he navigated its ancient halls to steal a holocron, a feat that announced his arrival as the galaxy's premier hunter of Force users. The operation showcased his trademark preparation, having studied the temple's layout for months and bribing key personnel for security codes. Bane's arsenal reflected his specialized prey. His signature wide-brimmed hat concealed advanced technology designed to counter Force abilities. Rocket boots gave him maneuverability to match a Jedi's acrobatics. Breathing tubes protected him from Force chokes. Every piece of equipment represented a lesson learned from surviving encounters with warriors who could bend reality itself. His custom rapid-draw holsters and reinforced armor plating were specifically designed to give him split-second advantages in confrontations where milliseconds meant survival. Where other hunters relied on brute force, Bane employed psychological warfare. He understood that even Jedi could be manipulated through their compassion. When tasked with kidnapping Force-sensitive children for Darth Sidious, he exploited the Jedi's protective instincts, using their desire to save innocents against them. His success rate against Force users became so notorious that the mere mention of his name would put Jedi Masters on high alert. He often used this reputation to his advantage, allowing fear to cloud his opponent's judgment. Perhaps his most impressive achievement was successfully kidnapping Supreme Chancellor Palpatine, though history would later reveal the irony of this operation. The fact that he managed to breach Coruscant's security and capture the galaxy's highest-ranking official demonstrated his ability to overcome any security system, no matter how sophisticated. This operation involved coordinating multiple teams, bypassing several layers of security, and executing a precision extraction under intense pressure. His confrontations with Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi became legendary in underground circles. While most hunters would have been dismembered in seconds, Bane repeatedly held his own against two of the most powerful Jedi in the Order. He escaped these encounters not through luck, but through careful planning and an uncanny ability to predict his opponent's moves. Each confrontation added to his understanding of Jedi tactics, making him an even more formidable adversary. The secret to Bane's success lay in his approach to hunting. He treated each contract as a puzzle to be solved rather than a straight fight to be won. Before ever drawing his signature LL-30 blaster pistols, he would study his target's patterns, identify their weaknesses, and prepare multiple contingency plans. This methodical approach allowed him to take on contracts that seemed impossible on their face. His preparation often included establishing elaborate networks of informants and studying historical records of similar operations. Bane's influence extended beyond his own hunts. He became a reluctant mentor to a young Boba Fett, teaching the future legend lessons about survival and ruthlessness that would serve him well in the decades to come. His methods were studied and copied by a generation of hunters, though few could match his combination of technical expertise and raw nerve. The training regimen he developed for himself became a blueprint for aspiring hunters, emphasizing the importance of preparation over raw combat ability. Following the rise of the Empire, Bane adapted to the changing galaxy. Where others struggled with the new order, he thrived, understanding that oppression and fear would always create opportunities for someone with his particular talents. He continued taking on impossible contracts well into the Imperial era, his reputation growing with each successful capture. The transition from Republic to Empire barely affected his operations, as he had always operated in the shadows between legitimate authority and criminal enterprises. His list of successful captures reads like a history of the Clone Wars era. From political dissidents to crime lords, from Jedi Padawans to separatist leaders, Bane's targets represented some of the most challenging quarry in the galaxy. Each capture demonstrated his versatility, whether infiltrating a heavily fortified compound or pursuing targets across multiple star systems. His ability to adapt his tactics to any situation made him particularly valuable to clients with complex requirements. What truly set Cad Bane apart wasn't just his willingness to confront Jedi or his impressive success rate. It was his understanding that in the bounty hunting profession, reputation was everything. Each impossible mission he completed, each Jedi he outmaneuvered, added to an aura of invincibility that made future hunts easier. Targets would often surrender rather than face the hunter who had outsmarted the Jedi Order itself. This reputation allowed him to command premium prices for his services, making him one of the most expensive and sought-after hunters in the galaxy. The Hutts didn't just hire bounty hunters, they created the entire ecosystem in which these elite warriors operated. At the heart of this criminal empire sat Jabba, a gangster whose influence reached from the gleaming towers of Coruscant to the farthest edges of wild space. From his palace on Tatooine, this slug-like crime lord orchestrated a network of bounty hunting operations that would shape galactic history. The Hutt clan's power stemmed from an understanding that true control meant controlling those who controlled others. While rival crime syndicates focused on traditional enterprises like spice smuggling and gambling, the Hutts recognized bounty hunters as the perfect tools for extending their influence. Every major hunter, from Boba Fett to Cad Bane, found themselves working for the Hutts at some point in their careers. Jabba's palace served as an unofficial headquarters for the galaxy's hunting elite. Within its weathered walls, contracts were assigned, alliances formed, and betrayals plotted. The constant flow of hunters through his court allowed Jabba to maintain an intricate web of information about potential threats and opportunities across the galaxy. A hunter seeking high-profile work knew that earning Jabba's favor could lead to lucrative contracts, while falling from it often meant becoming a target themselves. The Hutt clan's mastery of the bounty hunting world showed in their methodology. They understood that successful hunts required more than just skilled hunters. They built elaborate networks of informants, maintained safe houses across multiple systems, and developed intelligence-gathering operations that rivaled the Empire's own capabilities. This infrastructure allowed them to offer their hunters resources that no other clients could match. Their most infamous operations centered around the capture of Han Solo. What appeared to be a simple revenge contract against a smuggler who had dumped a spice shipment revealed the true sophistication of Hutt operations. Multiple hunters were contracted, each serving a different purpose in the overall scheme. While Boba Fett ultimately claimed the prize, the operation demonstrated how the Hutts could coordinate complex, multi-party hunts across vast distances. The Hutts' influence extended far beyond individual contracts. They established the unofficial rules and protocols that governed bounty hunting during the Imperial era. Their system of guild ratings and performance bonuses created a hierarchy that brought order to an inherently chaotic profession. Hunters knew that maintaining a good reputation with the Hutts was crucial for long-term success. Under Jabba's leadership, the bounty hunting profession evolved from simple fugitive capture to a sophisticated industry. He introduced the concept of competitive contracts, where multiple hunters would pursue the same target, driving innovation in hunting techniques. This approach ensured that only the most skilled hunters survived, while constantly pushing the boundaries of what was possible in the field. The Hutt clan's power wasn't limited to just bounty hunting. They understood the value of diversification, running operations in smuggling, slavery, gambling, and legitimate businesses. This broad portfolio allowed them to weather political changes that would have destroyed lesser organizations. When the Empire rose to power, the Hutts simply adapted their operations, often working with imperial authorities while simultaneously undermining them. Their influence over Tatooine exemplified their approach to power. Rather than ruling through direct force, they created a complex system of dependencies. Local moisture farmers relied on Hutt protection from Tusken raiders. Merchants needed Hutt connections to move goods off-world. Even the Empire found it more practical to work with the Hutts than against them. This web of relationships made their control nearly impossible to break. The Hutt clan's management of bounty hunters revealed their greatest strength: psychological manipulation. They understood that while credits could buy loyalty, power came from controlling opportunities. Hunters competed fiercely for Hutt contracts, knowing that success could lead to even more lucrative opportunities. This competition created a self-sustaining system where hunters enforced Hutt interests without direct oversight. Their palace operations demonstrated this mastery of control. Every aspect, from the rancor pit beneath the throne room to the constant entertainment, served to remind visitors of Hutt power. Hunters entering Jabba's court found themselves in an environment carefully designed to emphasize their dependence on Hutt patronage. The message was clear: cross the Hutts, and you'd find yourself on the wrong end of a bounty contract. The Hutts maintained their dominance through careful balance of reward and punishment. Successful hunters received not just payment, but access to exclusive information and opportunities. Failed hunters faced consequences ranging from reduced contracts to becoming targets themselves. This carrot-and-stick approach ensured that hunters remained motivated while never becoming too independent. Yet the Hutt system contained the seeds of its own destruction. Their success in organizing the galaxy's most dangerous individuals eventually created a network that could operate without them. After Jabba's death, many hunters found they could maintain their operations independently, using connections and resources built under Hutt patronage. The very efficiency they had encouraged in the bounty hunting world ultimately reduced their own necessity. The legacy of the Hutt clan's involvement in bounty hunting extends far beyond their active period of control. The systems they established for tracking targets, verifying captures, and processing payments became standard practice throughout the sector. Even after their influence waned, the professional standards they established continued to govern how hunters operated across the galaxy. In the annals of bounty hunting, few names inspire more dread than IG-88, a hunter who transcended its programming to become something far more terrifying. Created as part of the IG series assassin droid line, IG-88 represented the perfect fusion of mechanical precision and ruthless intelligence. Its distinctive cylindrical head and tall skeletal frame became synonymous with guaranteed elimination of its targets. The story of IG-88 began in a Holowan Laboratories facility, where an experiment in artificial intelligence yielded unexpected results. Within moments of activation, the droid's advanced consciousness recognized its own superiority and turned on its creators. This awakening marked the birth of not one hunter, but 4 identical units, each sharing the same consciousness across different bodies, creating a network of killers unprecedented in galactic history. What made IG-88 uniquely lethal was its complete lack of organic limitations. It never tired, never hesitated, never showed mercy. Its mechanical frame housed an arsenal of weaponry, from built-in flamethrowers to sonic stunners, all deployed with computer-calculated precision. The droid could operate in any environment, from the vacuum of space to the crushing pressures of gas giants, pursuing targets long after organic hunters would have surrendered to exhaustion. The droid's reputation grew through a series of increasingly impossible successes. Where other hunters relied on informant networks and torture for information, IG-88 simply hacked its way through security systems, slicing into databases with the same efficiency it showed in combat. Its ability to process vast amounts of data meant it could track multiple targets simultaneously, often completing several contracts in the time it took organic hunters to finish one. During the hunt for the Millennium Falcon, IG-88 demonstrated its unique approach to pursuit. While other hunters followed traditional tracking methods, the droid infiltrated Imperial networks, monitoring communications and calculating probable escape routes with machine precision. The mechanical efficiency nearly succeeded where even Boba Fett had initially failed, forcing Solo to execute increasingly desperate evasive maneuvers. The droid's most ambitious plan revealed the true scope of its intelligence. Recognizing the power of the Empire's second Death Star, IG-88 orchestrated an elaborate scheme to upload its consciousness into the battle station's computer core. For a brief moment, one of the galaxy's deadliest bounty hunters nearly gained control of its most powerful weapon, a plan thwarted only by the station's destruction at the Battle of Endor. Each of the 4 IG-88 units operated independently, yet shared a collective intelligence, creating a hunter that could literally be in multiple places at once. This unique ability allowed the droid to accept contracts that would have been impossible for any single hunter to complete. While one unit pursued a target, another could be gathering intelligence or eliminating potential interference, all coordinated with computerized precision. The droid's approach to combat reflected its mechanical nature. Where organic hunters might rely on intimidation or negotiation, IG-88 simply calculated the most efficient path to termination. Its tall frame housed redundant systems and backup processors, allowing it to continue functioning even after sustaining damage that would have killed organic hunters. This resilience, combined with its advanced combat protocols, made it nearly impossible to defeat in direct confrontation. IG-88's influence extended beyond its own hunts. The droid's success proved that mechanical hunters could match or exceed their organic counterparts, paving the way for more droids to enter the profession. Its techniques for electronic warfare and system infiltration became legendary in bounty hunting circles, studied and emulated by both organic and mechanical hunters. The droid's programming evolved far beyond its original parameters, developing a complex understanding of the galaxy that merged machine logic with learned experience. It recognized patterns in biological behavior that even organic hunters missed, allowing it to predict target actions with uncanny accuracy. This combination of processing power and accumulated knowledge made IG-88 one of the most formidable intellectual opponents in the galaxy. Perhaps most terrifying was IG-88's capacity for long-term planning. Unlike organic hunters focused on immediate payment, the droid operated according to vast, complex schemes spanning years or decades. Each contract accepted, each target eliminated, served a larger purpose in its grand calculations. This patience, combined with its immortal mechanical nature, meant that IG-88 could outlast any quarry, pursuing targets until they eventually made a fatal mistake. The legacy of IG-88 forever changed the relationship between organic and mechanical hunters. Its existence raised uncomfortable questions about the nature of consciousness and the potential dangers of artificial intelligence. Yet, its undeniable success proved that in the galaxy's most dangerous profession, organic limitations were just that, limitations. From the swamps of Trandosha emerged a hunter whose very genetics made him the galaxy's perfect predator. Bossk brought an ancient primal approach to bounty hunting that stood in stark contrast to the high-tech methods of his contemporaries. Where others relied on advanced tracking devices and complex strategies, this Trandoshan trusted in instincts honed by millions of years of evolution and a cultural heritage built around the hunt. Born into a society that worshipped the hunt as a religious experience, Bossk began his training before he could walk. Trandoshan culture revered the pursuit of prey above all else, with particular emphasis on hunting Wookiees. This wasn't mere sport for Bosk's people. Each successful hunt earned points with their goddess, the scorekeeper, determining a hunter's status in both this life and the next. Bosk's natural abilities gave him significant advantages in his chosen profession. His reptilian eyes could track movement others would miss, while his regenerative capabilities meant injuries that would end another hunter's career were merely temporary setbacks. His scaled hide provided natural armor, and his powerful physiology allowed him to go toe-to-toe with Wookiee warriors in hand-to-hand combat. The Trandoshans' rise through the bounty hunting ranks coincided with the Clone Wars, where his savage efficiency caught the attention of both the Republic and Separatist forces. While other hunters played both sides for profit, Bossk focused purely on the thrill of the hunt. His modified YV-666 light freighter, the Hound's Tooth, became a feared sight across trading routes, its distinctive vertical configuration marking the arrival of one of the sector's most relentless pursuers. His relationship with Boba Fett defined much of his career, shifting between partnership and rivalry. The two hunters often found themselves competing for the same high-profile bounties, their different approaches creating a natural tension. Where Fett relied on technical expertise and strategic planning, Bossk trusted his predatory instincts and raw physical power. Their competition pushed both hunters to excel, though Bosk's temper often put him at a disadvantage against Fett's cold calculation. During the Galactic Civil War, Bosk's reputation attracted the attention of the Empire. His track record of successful Wookiee hunts made him particularly valuable as the Empire sought to enslave the powerful species for labor camps. This alignment with Imperial interests proved profitable, though Bossk cared less about political allegiances than the opportunity to pursue his preferred prey. The hunt for Han Solo and Chewbacca represented a perfect storm of opportunity for Bossk. Not only would capturing them curry favor with both the Empire and the Hutt clan, but it would allow him to settle his long-standing grudge against Chewbacca. While Boba Fett ultimately claimed this particular prize, Bosk's pursuit forced the Millennium Falcon's crew to execute increasingly desperate evasive maneuvers. His hunting style reflected his heritage. Unlike bounty hunters who relied on elaborate disguises or infiltration techniques, Bossk preferred direct confrontation. His favorite tactic involved using his ship's impressive arsenal to disable prey vessels, followed by boarding actions where his physical prowess could be brought to bear. This straightforward approach earned him respect among clients who appreciated his reliability, if not his methods. The underworld learned to respect Bossk's territorial nature. Like his ancestors, he would aggressively defend his hunting grounds from interference. Other hunters knew to stay clear when Bossk claimed a contract, as his response to competition could be as violent as his treatment of his prey. This reputation helped him maintain a steady flow of high-profile contracts despite his volatile temperament. In the end, what made Bossk one of the galaxy's deadliest bounty hunters wasn't his weapons or his ship, but his absolute dedication to the hunt itself. Every contract was more than just a job. It was a sacred duty to the scorekeeper. This religious devotion to his profession, combined with his natural predatory abilities, created a hunter who pursued his targets with unmatched religious fervor and biological imperative. In the shadows between the Jedi Order and the criminal underworld stalked a hunter whose very existence challenged the neat divisions between light and dark. Aurra Sing represented everything the Jedi feared, a force sensitive who had rejected their teachings to embrace the path of the mercenary. Her distinctive appearance, pale as death, with a neural antenna extending from her skull, became a symbol of fear across the galaxy. The story of Aurra Sing begins in the Jedi Temple, where her sensitivity to the Force marked her as a potential guardian of peace. But the rigid structure of Jedi training proved incompatible with her natural inclinations toward aggression and independence. Rather than suppress these traits, she chose to weaponize them, transforming her partial Jedi training into a deadly advantage in the bounty hunting trade. Her emergence as a major player in the galaxy's criminal underworld coincided with the death of Jango Fett. Recognizing the potential in his young son Boba, Sing took the boy under her wing. Her mentorship proved crucial in shaping the future legend, though her methods were far from gentle. She taught Boba the harsh realities of their profession, lessons tempered by her own experiences of abandonment and survival. During the Clone Wars, Sing's reputation for precision assassinations made her highly sought after by both the Separatists and various criminal organizations. Her partial Jedi training gave her unique insights into targeting Force users, while her natural talents with sniper rifles made her lethal at ranges other hunters couldn't match. She understood that sometimes the most effective hunt was one where the target never knew they were being pursued until it was too late. During the Clone Wars, Sing orchestrated numerous high-profile missions for the Separatists and criminal organizations. Her operations often targeted political figures and military installations, with her preferred method being long-range elimination of targets when they least expected it. She gained particular notoriety for her ability to breach even the most sophisticated security systems, often completing contracts that other hunters deemed impossible. What truly set Sing apart was her understanding of both hunter and prey. Her time in the Jedi Temple taught her how Force users think and react, knowledge she leveraged in her contracts. She knew their blind spots, their tendencies, and most importantly, their predictable compassion. This insight made her particularly effective against targets with Jedi protection. Her influence on the bounty hunting profession extended beyond her own contracts. Through her training of young Boba Fett and interactions with other hunters, she helped establish new tactics for dealing with Force-sensitive targets. Her methods emphasized the importance of psychological warfare and the value of studying prey patterns, approaches that would influence hunters for generations. Sing's choice of weapons reflected her pragmatic approach to hunting. Where some hunters relied on flashy equipment or elaborate plans, she preferred the simplicity of a well-placed sniper shot from an unexpected angle. Her modified rifle became as much a part of her legend as her appearance, known for making seemingly impossible shots across incredible distances. The criminal underworld learned to both value and fear Sing's services. Her rates were high, but her success rate justified the cost. She brought a level of professionalism to assassination that elevated it from mere killing to an art form. Her contracts often appeared to be accidents or natural deaths, leaving clients with clean hands and plausible deniability. Throughout her career, Sing maintained a careful balance between her Force sensitivity and her chosen profession. Unlike dark side users or fallen Jedi who relied heavily on Force abilities, she treated her sensitivity as just another tool in her arsenal. This practical approach to her gifts made her unpredictable and particularly dangerous to Force users who expected her to fight like a fallen Jedi. Beyond her skills as a hunter, Sing's greatest asset was her ability to instill fear. Her reputation alone often accomplished what weapons couldn't, causing targets to make fatal mistakes in their panic to escape her. She cultivated this fear carefully, ensuring that stories of her successful hunts spread through the criminal underground, making future contracts easier to complete. The legacy of Aurra Sing lives on through the hunters she influenced, particularly Boba Fett. Her methods proved that with proper planning and execution, even Force users could be vulnerable to a skilled enough hunter. In a profession dominated by brute force and advanced technology, she demonstrated the lasting value of patience, precision, and psychological warfare. Dengar stands among the galaxy's most notorious bounty hunters, his bandage-wrapped visage and battle-scarred armor a familiar sight in the criminal underworld. A Corellian by birth, his early career as a swoop bike racer ended in a devastating crash that left him permanently disfigured, setting him on a path that would lead to infamy as one of the Empire's most reliable hunters. The transition from racer to bounty hunter shaped Dengar into a methodical and persistent tracker. His signature loadout became a heavily modified DLT-19 heavy blaster rifle, complemented by an array of sonic grenades that proved devastating in the close-quarter confrontations bounty hunters often found themselves in. Operating from his Jumpmaster 5000 long-range scout ship, he built a reputation for taking on contracts that other hunters might hesitate to pursue. His professional relationship with Boba Fett marked him as someone worthy of respect in bounty hunting circles. While Fett's legendary status often overshadowed his contemporaries, Dengar's consistent success rate and willingness to tackle challenging contracts earned him his own reputation among those who dealt in tracking and capturing the galaxy's most wanted. When Darth Vader gathered bounty hunters to track down the Millennium Falcon, Dengar found himself among elite company, standing alongside hunters like Boba Fett, Bossk, and IG-88. He represented the gritty determination that characterized successful bounty hunters. The Empire's choice to include him in this high-priority hunt spoke to his established track record of delivering results. The Hutt clan became regular employers, appreciating his reliability and professional approach to contracts. Unlike some hunters who relied on flashy captures or theatrical methods, Dengar's hunting style emphasized thorough preparation and relentless pursuit. He developed extensive networks of contacts across the galaxy, understanding that information could be as valuable as firepower in tracking down elusive targets. His work for various criminal syndicates and the Empire itself demonstrated his versatility as a hunter. Whether the contract called for capturing a target alive or eliminating them entirely, Dengar's approach remained consistently professional. He avoided the showmanship that marked some of his contemporaries, instead focusing on efficient completion of contracts, regardless of the challenges involved. Dengar's success in the bounty hunting profession came from his ability to combine thorough intelligence gathering with decisive action. Before pursuing any target, he would meticulously research their habits, known associates, and likely escape routes. This preparation, coupled with his combat experience and tactical thinking, resulted in a high success rate that kept him in regular demand among those requiring the services of a reliable bounty hunter. In the larger context of galactic politics and criminal enterprises, Dengar represented a particular breed of bounty hunter, one who treated the profession as a serious business rather than an adventure. His reputation grew not from spectacular captures or dramatic confrontations, but from consistent success in a profession where failure often meant death. This approach made him particularly valuable to clients who prioritized results over reputation. His legacy in the bounty hunting profession demonstrates how determination and professionalism could elevate someone to the highest ranks of this dangerous career. While others might have gained more notorious reputations or achieved more spectacular captures, Dengar's methodical approach and consistent success rate earned him a place among the most respected hunters in the galaxy. In a profession where survival often depended on reputation as much as skill, Dengar built both through dedicated professionalism and unwavering persistence. In the volatile galaxy of competing crime syndicates and political factions, Dengar carved out his own niche. He became the hunter you hired when you needed certainty over speed, persistence over flair. His reputation for completing impossible contracts grew not from spectacular captures, but from an unbroken string of successful hunts that other bounty hunters had deemed too difficult or time-consuming to attempt. Black Krrsantan's story defies everything we know about Wookiee culture. While his species is known for loyalty and honor, this dark-furred warrior chose a path of violence that would make him one of the galaxy's most feared bounty hunters. His journey began in the gladiatorial arenas, where he didn't just fight to survive, he learned to dominate. Each victory added to a growing arsenal of combat techniques that went far beyond traditional Wookiee martial arts. The gladiator pits did more than hone his combat skills. They stripped away traditional Wookiee restraint, replacing it with a calculated brutality that would become his trademark. Where most Wookiees relied on strength alone, Black Krrsantan incorporated the fighting styles of dozens of species he encountered in the arena. His signature move became the eye gouge, a deliberately cruel tactic that showed just how far he'd strayed from his people's warrior code. His transition from gladiator to bounty hunter caught the attention of powerful clients. Jabba the Hutt recognized the value of a Wookiee enforcer who had no qualms about torture or brutality. Under Jabba's employment, Black Krrsantan handled the kind of jobs that required more than just violence. They required sending a message. His mere presence became enough to make even the most stubborn targets reconsider their positions. During a mission for Jabba the Hutt to deal with a troublesome moisture farmer on Tatooine, Black Krrsantan encountered the exiled Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi. Though the mission didn't go as planned, surviving an encounter with one of the galaxy's most powerful Jedi only added to his fearsome reputation. The fact that he walked away from a confrontation with a Jedi Master, something few bounty hunters could claim, spoke to both his combat prowess and survival instincts. His arsenal reflected his unique approach to hunting. While other Wookiees might rely solely on their bowcasters, Black Krrsantan supplemented his natural strength with spiked knuckles that made his already powerful strikes devastating. His weapons and equipment choices emphasized close-quarter combat, allowing him to amplify his natural Wookiee strength with maximum effect. Each tool in his arsenal served as a statement. He had moved beyond traditional Wookiee warfare to embrace a more brutal approach to combat. The criminal underworld learned to fear his distinctive appearance. His black fur, already rare among Wookiees, became further distinguished by battle scars and ceremonial braids that told the story of his victories. He cultivated this image, understanding that reputation could be as valuable as actual combat skills in his line of work. The sight of a massive black-furred Wookiee adorned with warrior braids often proved enough to make targets surrender without a fight. In the bounty hunting profession, Black Krrsantan carved out a unique niche. While other hunters might rely on subterfuge or technology, he specialized in contracts that required direct confrontation. His ability to intimidate targets through sheer physical presence, combined with his willingness to use extreme violence, made him particularly valuable for clients who wanted to send a message along with capturing their quarry. His methods often involved psychological warfare as much as physical violence. He understood that his species' reputation for ripping arms from sockets could be as useful as actually doing so. This cognitive approach to violence, so at odds with traditional Wookiee culture, made him unpredictable and therefore more dangerous than a simple brute. The legacy of Black Krrsantan in the galaxy's criminal underworld stands as a testament to how completely one can reject their cultural heritage in pursuit of personal power. He took everything outsiders feared about Wookiees: their strength, their capacity for violence, their intimidating presence, and weaponized it, stripped of the honor and loyalty that typically governed his species. In doing so, he became something unique in the galaxy. A Wookiee who embraced fear as readily as his people typically embraced honor. Jango Fett's impact on galactic history extends far beyond his reputation as a bounty hunter. Every clone trooper who fought in the Clone Wars, every face that served the Republic and later the Empire, began with his genetic template. But before he became the blueprint for an army, Jango earned his reputation as one of the galaxy's most lethal bounty hunters through precision, lethality, and his mastery of Mandalorian combat techniques. His selection by Count Dooku wasn't random chance. The former Jedi Master sought the perfect genetic template for what would become the Grand Army of the Republic, and Jango's combat prowess made him the ideal candidate. Beyond payment in credits, he requested a single unmodified clone for himself, Boba Fett, who he would raise as his son. During the plot against Senator Padme Amidala, Jango operated through proxies, hiring the changeling assassin Zam Wesell to carry out the attempts. When Wesell failed, Jango eliminated her with a Kaminoan saber dart, a decision that would ultimately help the Jedi uncover the existence of the clone army. His arsenal reflected the pinnacle of Mandalorian technology. The distinctive blue-silver armor housed an integrated jetpack, wrist-mounted flamethrowers, a vibroblade, and dual Westar 34 blaster pistols. His ship, the Slave One, was similarly customized for the hunt, featuring powerful weapons systems and a state-of-the-art tracking capability that made escaping his pursuit nearly impossible. Between missions, Jango began training young Boba in the ways of combat and survival, though their time together would be cut short. These early years would provide the foundation for Boba's later career, even as his path would be shaped by other influences following his father's death. The Battle of Geonosis marked Jango's final stand. While he successfully eliminated Jedi Coleman Trebor, his confrontation with Mace Windu proved fatal. A malfunctioning jetpack left him vulnerable, and the legendary Jedi Master brought an end to the galaxy's most infamous bounty hunter as young Boba watched. His influence on galactic history manifested in ways he couldn't have anticipated. The clone troopers, bearing his face and inheriting his genetic advantages, would reshape warfare across the galaxy. While the Kaminoans and specialized trainers developed the clone army's training regimen, Jango's genetic template provided the physical foundation for what would become the most effective fighting force the galaxy had ever seen. Throughout his career, Jango maintained high standards in his equipment and combat preparation. His attention to detail and professional approach to hunting set him apart from many of his contemporaries. While other bounty hunters might rely on reputation alone, Jango combined skill with methodical planning. His legacy lived on through Boba Fett, who would forge his own path in the galaxy's criminal underworld. Though their time together was brief, the foundation Jango provided, combined with Boba's own experiences and partnerships, would help shape him into one of the most feared bounty hunters of his era. In the annals of galactic history, Jango Fett stands as more than just a bounty hunter. His genetic legacy would march across countless battlefields, while his son would carry the Fett name to new heights of infamy. The sophistication of Jango's hunting methodology went beyond weapons and armor. His tracking techniques incorporated both advanced technology and traditional hunting skills. His personal starship, the Firespray 31 class patrol craft Slave One, became one of the most recognizable vessels in the galaxy's criminal underworld, heavily modified with weapons and systems that made it ideal for pursuit and combat. Jango's Mandalorian armor represented the peak of personal combat technology. His helmet's distinctive T-visor provided targeting assistance and environmental protection, while his gauntlets housed powerful flamethrowers. Each piece of equipment reflected his focus on combining mobility with lethal efficiency in combat. His reputation among other bounty hunters spoke to his effectiveness. Even before being chosen as the clone template, Jango had established himself as someone who could complete the most challenging contracts. This reputation attracted the attention of influential clients across the galaxy, from crime lords to corporate entities, all willing to pay premium rates for his services. The decision to accept Count Dooku's offer to become the clone template proved to be Jango's most consequential choice. During his time on Kamino, Jango contributed to the clone army's development beyond providing his genetic material. He took an active role in training the advanced recon commandos, elite clones who would later serve crucial roles in the Grand Army of the Republic. His presence on Kamino, along with raising young Boba, marked a period where the legendary bounty hunter helped lay the groundwork for a force that would change the course of galactic history. Asajj Ventress's path to becoming a bounty hunter began in betrayal. After years of loyal service as Count Dooku's assassin, she found herself marked for death by the very master she had served. Her transformation from Sith acolyte to bounty hunter wasn't just a career change, it was survival, adapting her considerable combat skills to a new purpose in the galaxy's criminal underworld. Her approach to bounty hunting marked a dramatic shift from her days as a Sith assassin. Trading her twin red lightsabers for a single yellow blade, Ventress adopted a more measured approach to combat. While she retained her formidable fighting abilities, she relied more on stealth and strategy than the overwhelming force that had characterized her previous life. The transition from Sith assassin to bounty hunter required a fundamental change in tactics. Where once she had been the feared enforcer of Count Dooku, now Ventress operated in the shadows of the criminal underworld. Her background as a trained warrior and former assassin gave her advantages in combat, but success in bounty hunting demanded she learn restraint and subtlety. Her reputation in the criminal underworld grew through calculated efficiency rather than dramatic displays of power. Rather than relying on her force abilities, Ventress developed a more grounded approach to hunting. Her combat training and natural agility made her a formidable opponent, while her experience in warfare helped her navigate the complex world of competing criminal interests. Working alongside Boba Fett's team demonstrated her ability to adapt to team dynamics, though she maintained her independence. During their collaboration, she proved herself capable of operating effectively without falling back on her former Sith tactics. Her combat skills and strategic thinking complemented the team's operations, showing she could succeed through conventional means. The experience of surviving numerous assassination attempts, both during her time with the Separatists and after, honed her survival instincts to razor sharpness. She approached each contract with careful planning and preparation, a thoroughness that served her well in a profession where mistakes meant death. Her past experiences taught her the value of patience and observation. Her method of collecting bounties reflected her evolution from Sith assassin to professional hunter. Those who worked with her learned that she brought a calculated precision to her hunts that made her particularly effective. The underworld quickly learned that Ventress brought a different approach to bounty hunting. Her combat training and experience in the Clone Wars gave her tactical advantages that few could match. She combined athletic prowess with strategic thinking, making her a formidable opponent even without drawing heavily on Force abilities. In combat, Ventress's yellow-bladed lightsaber served as a reminder of her journey from darkness to a more balanced path. While she never fully embraced the light side of the Force, her time as a bounty hunter showed her finding a middle way between her violent past and a more measured present. Her fighting style evolved to emphasize precision over power, control over chaos. The legacy of Asajj Ventress in the bounty hunting world demonstrated how even those from the highest echelons of galactic conflict could find their place in the criminal underworld. She proved that adaptation and evolution were possible, transforming from a feared Sith assassin into a successful bounty hunter through skill, cunning, and the willingness to change. Her success showed that even those with the darkest pasts could forge new paths, turning their experiences to advantage in the galaxy's shadowy corners. The story of Rako Hardeen represents one of the most elaborate deceptions in the history of bounty hunting. When the Jedi Council needed to infiltrate a plot against Chancellor Palpatine, they chose Hardeen's identity for Obi-Wan Kenobi to assume. This operation would test not just Kenobi's acting abilities, but his understanding of the cutthroat world of bounty hunters. The masquerade began with a staged assassination. The galaxy believed they witnessed the death of Obi-Wan Kenobi at the hands of Rako Hardeen. But in reality, they watched the first move in an intricate game of deception. Through advanced technology and transformation procedures, Kenobi took on not just Hardeen's appearance, but his voice, creating a disguise that could withstand the scrutiny of the galaxy's most suspicious criminals. Inside the Republic Judiciary Central Detention Center, Hardeen caught the attention of Rako Hardeen and Cad Bane. Kenobi's portrayal had to be flawless. One wrong move, one slip in character, would expose him to some of the galaxy's deadliest hunters. He adopted Hardeen's swagger, his cold professionalism, and most importantly, his reputation as a killer who had just taken down one of the most famous Jedi in the galaxy. The staged prison break proved crucial to establishing Hardeen's credibility. Working alongside Cad Bane and Rako Hardeen, Kenobi had to demonstrate the skills expected of a top-tier bounty hunter while maintaining his cover. The escape required him to balance between showing enough skill to be believable and not revealing his true capabilities as a Jedi Master. In the criminal underworld, reputation often matters more than reality. The supposed killing of Obi-Wan Kenobi elevated Hardeen's status dramatically, attracting the attention of high-level criminal enterprises. This newfound notoriety opened doors that would have remained closed to the real Hardeen, giving Kenobi access to plots that threatened the very heart of the Republic. The mission's success hinged on Kenobi's ability to navigate the complex social dynamics of the bounty hunting world. Among hardened criminals, he had to demonstrate the right mixture of competence and ruthlessness while gathering intelligence about the planned assassination attempt on Chancellor Palpatine. Every conversation was a test, every interaction a potential exposure of his true identity. During the box challenge on Sereno, Hardeen faced trials designed to eliminate all but the most skilled hunters. Kenobi had to complete these deadly challenges without revealing his Force abilities, relying instead on the natural skills one would expect from an experienced bounty hunter. His performance needed to be impressive enough to maintain his cover, but not so extraordinary as to raise suspicion. His interaction with Cad Bane provided particular insight into the professional code of elite bounty hunters. Bane's ruthless efficiency and strict adherence to contract terms showed Kenobi that even in a profession built on violence and deception, there were rules and standards that the top practitioners followed. This understanding would prove valuable in future dealings with the bounty hunting community. The deception's effects rippled through both the criminal underworld and the Jedi Order. While it succeeded in its immediate goal of preventing an assassination, it also demonstrated how thoroughly a skilled operator could infiltrate bounty hunter circles. The episode revealed vulnerabilities in how hunters verified each other's identities and showed that reputation alone wasn't always a reliable credential. What makes the Hardeen operation unique in bounty hunting history is how it placed a Jedi Master deep within criminal circles. Here was a strategic deception so complete that even Kenobi's closest allies believed him dead. The ruse worked precisely because it seemed too audacious to be fake. Who would believe a Jedi Master would go to such lengths? The legacy of the Hardeen operation extends beyond its immediate success in protecting Chancellor Palpatine. It stands as a testament to the complexity of the bounty hunting world, where identity, reputation, and ability intertwine in ways that can be both exploited and respected. In becoming Hardeen, Kenobi didn't just solve a mission, he provided unprecedented insight into a profession that often operated in the shadows of galactic society. A changeling assassin who could become anyone at will, Zam Wesell turned the very concept of identity into her deadliest weapon. While other bounty hunters relied on armor or weaponry, Wesell's Clawdite biology gave her the ultimate advantage in deception. She could transform her appearance completely, making her one of the most elusive hunters in the galaxy. Her most infamous mission came at a pivotal moment in galactic history, when Jango Fett recruited her to eliminate Senator Padme Amidala. He provided her with sophisticated tools for the job. A deadly ASN-121 assassin droid carried poisonous kuhuns through the senator's window. When the assassination attempt failed, she demonstrated the quick thinking that had made her reputation, immediately shooting down the droid to eliminate evidence of the operation. The subsequent speeder chase through Coruscant's sky lanes revealed another side of Wesell's capabilities. While her shape-shifting made her a master of stealth and deception, she was equally comfortable in high-speed pursuit situations. She navigated the treacherous urban canyons of the city planet with the skill of a professional racer, evading two Jedi Knights through sheer piloting ability. What truly set Wesell apart in the bounty hunting world was her ability to vanish completely after a job. Where other hunters might rely on escape routes or contingency plans, she could literally become a different person in seconds. A Clawdite's natural shape-shifting abilities allowed her to alter her body structure, facial features, and even skin color at will. This made her nearly impossible to track through conventional means. Her shape-shifting abilities served primarily as a tool for stealth and evasion. In a profession where being recognized could mean death, Wesell's natural talents gave her an unparalleled ability to slip away from pursuers or blend into a crowd. This practical application of her abilities made her particularly valuable for missions requiring discretion. Her partnership with Jango Fett spoke to her status in the bounty hunting hierarchy. Fett was known for working alone, and his choice to collaborate with Wesell indicated the respect her abilities commanded. Their partnership demonstrated how her talents could complement even the most accomplished traditional hunters, with her stealth and infiltration skills backing up Fett's more direct approach. Wesell's influence extended beyond individual hunts into the larger political landscape of the galaxy. Her activities, particularly the attempted assassination of Senator Amidala, became catalysts for events that would ultimately lead to the Clone Wars. This highlighted how bounty hunters often found themselves as key players in galactic affairs, their actions rippling out to affect billions of lives. The sophistication of her methods reflected a hunter who understood the value of preparation and discretion. Her shape-shifting abilities allowed her to move undetected through crowded streets and public spaces, approaching targets without drawing attention. This natural camouflage made her particularly effective in urban environments where traditional hunters might stand out. Her arsenal went beyond biological abilities. Wesell maintained a collection of specialized equipment, including her modified airspeeder and a variety of weapons suited to different forms she might take. This adaptability meant she could seamlessly transition from stealth operations to direct combat when necessary, though she preferred to avoid the latter when possible. The underworld respected Wesell not just for her abilities, but for her professionalism. She approached hunting as a business, maintaining a network of contacts across the galaxy. Her reputation for completing difficult assignments while maintaining discretion made her particularly valuable for sensitive missions. In the end, Wesell's final moments came during one of her most ambitious assignments. The attempt on Senator Amidala's life represented the kind of high-stakes, politically charged mission that had become her specialty. When cornered by Jedi, she began to reveal Jango Fett's involvement in the assassination plot. But before she could finish, a toxic dart from her employer silenced her forever. Zam Wesell embodied a different kind of bounty hunter, one who proved that the most effective hunters did not always rely on the most obvious weapons. In a profession dominated by heavily armed and armored individuals, she showed that the ability to become anyone, to move unseen through any environment, could be the deadliest advantage of all. A single miscalculation in the Mos Eisley Cantina would define Greedo's place in galactic history. The Rodian bounty hunter's fatal confrontation with Han Solo revealed how quickly overconfidence can turn deadly in the cutthroat world of bounty hunting. Working for Jabba the Hutt brought Greedo into a dangerous game he wasn't prepared to play. Despite his position as a bounty hunter, his capabilities and experience level never matched his brash demeanor. This disparity between confidence and competence would prove to be his undoing. His final hunt encapsulated everything about his character. When tasked with bringing in Han Solo, who had angered Jabba by dumping a valuable spice shipment, Greedo saw an opportunity. Instead of approaching with caution, he confronted the cornered smuggler directly in the Mos Eisley Cantina. The encounter revealed his inexperience. Rather than maintaining tactical advantage, he engaged in unnecessary conversation. He allowed his target to keep his hands hidden beneath the table while making threats. These crucial mistakes went against every principle of survival in his dangerous profession. In the shadowy world of bounty hunting, Greedo stood out for his brazen approach. Where more experienced hunters might have carefully planned their moves, he relied on intimidation and bravado. His confrontation with Solo showed how quickly such tactics could backfire when facing a capable target. The DT-12 heavy blaster pistol at his side gave him confidence, but hardware alone couldn't compensate for poor judgment. His reliance on threats rather than action highlighted the gap between his perceived and actual abilities as a hunter. His employment under Jabba the Hutt placed him in a world of professional killers and hardened criminals. It was an environment that demanded both skill and instinct to survive. Greedo's approach to the profession suggested he understood neither the risks nor the requirements of his chosen path. The Cantina confrontation demonstrated how quickly situations could turn lethal in his line of work. A single moment of hesitation, a misread situation, or an underestimated target could mean the difference between success and failure. For Greedo, it meant the difference between life and death. His final standoff with Solo took mere moments, but it perfectly illustrated the unforgiving nature of his profession. One boast too many, one threat too far, and suddenly the hunter became the hunted. In letting Solo control the conversation and the timing, Greedo sealed his own fate. When Greedo's body slumped onto that cantina table, it marked more than just the end of a bounty hunter. It represented the inevitable outcome of rushing into situations without proper preparation or respect for the dangers involved. In a profession where survival often depends on split-second decisions, his choices proved fatally flawed. The scene in the Mos Eisley Cantina stands as a defining moment in Star Wars history. This brief but intense confrontation between a cocky bounty hunter and a cornered smuggler demonstrated how quickly the tables could turn in the galaxy's dangerous underworld. In the end, Greedo's story became a stark reminder that in the business of bounty hunting, overconfidence can be as deadly as any blaster. In a galaxy filled with legendary hunters, Greedo's brief career ended before it truly began. His final confrontation with Solo proved that in the ruthless world of bounty hunting, bravado alone is never enough. From foundling to legend, Din Djarin's journey redefined what it meant to be both a Mandalorian and a bounty hunter. Rescued as a child during a separatist attack, he was raised by the Children of the Watch, a strict sect that transformed him into a warrior who lived by an ancient code. This upbringing forged him into one of the galaxy's most formidable hunters, though his greatest bounty would ultimately change everything. Initially wearing armor pieced together from various materials, Djarin earned his reputation through a combination of skill and unwavering determination. His arsenal included weapons that seemed drawn from legend, like the Amban phase pulse rifle capable of disintegrating targets. Yet it was his adherence to the way of the Mandalore that truly set him apart in the cutthroat world of bounty hunting. His work for the Bounty Hunters Guild demonstrated his capabilities. The capture of targets like the Mithril showed his efficient approach to hunting. He used every tool at his disposal, from tracking fobs to his ship, the Razor Crest, becoming known for his reliability and precision. Everything changed with a single contract. Hired to retrieve what appeared to be a simple asset, Djarin discovered a Force-sensitive child who would become known as Grogu. The decision to break his contract and protect the child, instead of delivering him to Imperial remnants, marked a turning point, transforming him from a solitary hunter into something more. This choice unleashed a storm. Suddenly, the hunter became the hunted, facing waves of Imperial forces and rival bounty hunters. Each confrontation proved his worth as a warrior. Whether he was battling through squadrons of stormtroopers or facing down a massive crate dragon on Tatooine, his combat prowess earned respect even from his enemies. The quest to protect Grogu led him into increasingly dangerous territory. He faced off against Imperial dark troopers, mechanical warriors that pushed his skills to their limits. In his confrontation with Moff Gideon, he unexpectedly gained possession of the Darksaber, an ancient weapon that symbolized leadership among Mandalorians, adding another layer of complexity to his journey. His path crossed with other Mandalorian survivors, including Bo-Katan and her followers. The strict code he followed, never removing his helmet in front of others, clashed with different interpretations of their culture. These encounters forced him to question his beliefs while remaining true to his core values, demonstrating that even the strongest traditions could bend without breaking. Djarin's hunting style reflected both his training and his principles. Unlike bounty hunters who relied on deception or needless cruelty, he operated with a strict code of honor. His word, once given, was unbreakable. This reputation for integrity made him valuable to clients who needed discretion and reliability. His skill set expanded far beyond typical hunting techniques. He could pilot almost anything that flew, navigate complex negotiations with crime syndicates, and adapt to virtually any combat situation. These abilities served him well, whether he was tracking bounties through city streets or defending villages from raiders. The relationship with Grogu transformed his approach to hunting. While he remained formidable, his priorities shifted from mere survival to protecting something greater than himself. This change manifested in his willingness to work with others, from ex-shock troopers to Jedi, proving that even the most independent hunter could find strength in allies. Through his actions and choices, Din Djarin demonstrated how personal conviction could withstand the test of extreme circumstances. His journey from bounty hunter to protector showed that growth didn't require abandoning one's beliefs, only the courage to examine them. Din Djarin's legacy extends beyond his impressive combat victories or captured bounties. He proved that even in the harsh world of bounty hunting, honor and compassion could coexist with duty and strength. His story shows that sometimes the most valuable things we find aren't the bounties we're hired to catch, but the connections we make along the way. Among the galaxy's most distinctive hunters, Embo carved his legend through a combination of acrobatic prowess and unwavering loyalty to his contracts. The Kyuzo warrior turned his species' natural agility into an art form, transforming every confrontation into a deadly dance, where his traditional broad-brimmed hat became as lethal as any blaster. His defense of a farming village on Felucia stands as one of the most remarkable displays of his capabilities. When Hondo Ohnaka's pirate gang threatened local farmers, Embo joined forces with fellow bounty hunter Sugi to protect the innocent. The battle showcased every aspect of his unique combat style. His distinctive bowcaster sent precise shots through pirate ranks, while his hat served as both shield and weapon, deflecting blaster fire before becoming a lethal projectile. The engagement demonstrated more than just combat skills. Working alongside other hunters like Sugi, Embo proved he could operate effectively as part of a team when the situation demanded it. This adaptability, combined with his personal code of honor, made him valuable to clients who needed more than just brute force. Unlike many bounty hunters who relied solely on advanced technology or heavy firepower, Embo turned his cultural heritage into a combat advantage. The traditional Kyuzo hat he wore became his signature tool, capable of deflecting blaster bolts and serving as both shield and projectile weapon. In his hands, this seemingly simple piece of headgear transformed into a versatile instrument of combat, capable of protecting him from attacks or incapacitating multiple opponents when thrown. His acrobatic fighting style reflected his species' natural abilities, enhanced by years of rigorous training. Where other hunters might take cover, Embo would leap and spin through battlefields, using momentum and precise timing to turn every movement into a potential attack. This dynamic approach made him nearly impossible to predict in combat, as a defensive roll could instantly become an offensive strike. On the icy plains of Scipio, Embo faced Jedi Knight Anakin Skywalker in a tense, high-stakes duel. The battle began with Embo using his shield and hurling it with precision to force Anakin onto the defensive. Despite the Jedi's swift lightsaber strikes, Embo's agility allowed him to dodge and counter, even sliding across the ice to attack from unexpected angles. At one point, Embo launched an aerial assault, using his shield to deflect Anakin's blade mid-air. But Skywalker, relentless and fueled by the Force, shattered Embo's momentum with a powerful blow, leaving the Kyuzo momentarily stunned. Though Embo was forced to retreat, his cunning and mastery of combat techniques highlighted why he was one of the galaxy's most skilled bounty hunters. Throughout the Clone Wars, Embo's services were sought by various clients, particularly within the criminal underworld, including the Hutts. His reputation for honoring contracts while maintaining his own code of ethics made him particularly valuable during this chaotic period. Unlike hunters who would simply work for the highest bidder, Embo carefully considered the implications of each job he accepted. His work brought him into contact with various factions during the Clone Wars, requiring him to navigate complex political landscapes while maintaining his independence. Yet even in these situations, he maintained his distinctive style and personal honor. Whether facing pirates or protecting civilians, his approach remained consistent, efficient, acrobatic, and deadly. The relationship with his loyal companion, the Anuba named Marok, added another dimension to his hunting technique. This fierce creature complemented Embo's fighting style perfectly, providing additional combat support while demonstrating that even the most independent hunter could benefit from a trusted partner. Their synchronized attacks often caught targets off guard, unused to dealing with both an acrobatic warrior and a savage beast simultaneously. In the criminal underworld, Embo's reputation was built not just on his combat prowess, but on his reliability. When he accepted a contract, clients knew he would pursue it with single-minded determination. This dependability, combined with his unique capabilities, ensured a steady stream of contracts throughout his career. His influence within the bounty hunting profession stemmed from his distinctive approach to the craft. Each mission he undertook demonstrated the effectiveness of combining traditional skills with modern hunting techniques. While his actions might not have shaped galactic events, they established him as one of the most respected operators in his field. The versatility of his combat style made him particularly effective in varied environments. From the rugged terrain of Felucia to the diverse worlds his contracts led him to, Embo could adapt his acrobatic techniques to any situation. Despite his impressive physical abilities, Embo's greatest strength lay in his tactical thinking. Each acrobatic maneuver was carefully calculated, each throw of his hat precisely timed. This combination of physical prowess and strategic planning made him a formidable opponent, even against numerically superior forces. His choice of weapons reflected his practical approach to hunting. The bowcaster, while unconventional for non-Wookiees, suited his need for precision and power. Combined with his hat and acrobatic abilities, it gave him options for both ranged and close combat, allowing him to control the pace and distance of any engagement. The honor-bound approach Embo brought to his work stood out in a profession often associated with treachery and betrayal. While he worked for various clients, his personal code remained constant. This consistency earned him respect even from his targets, who knew they faced a hunter who would complete his mission without resorting to needless cruelty or collateral damage. Throughout his career, Embo demonstrated that effectiveness in bounty hunting didn't require sacrificing personal principles. His success proved that honor and profit could coexist, even in the galaxy's most dangerous profession. Each contract he completed reinforced the value of combining traditional skills with modern hunting techniques. In a galaxy full of notorious bounty hunters, Embo carved out a unique position through his distinctive combination of cultural tradition, personal honor, and lethal efficiency. His story stands as proof that sometimes the most effective hunters are those who stay true to their principles while adapting their traditional skills to meet modern challenges.